So why aren't I using the word mystical? Hey guys, it's John sitting here on an extremely cold day today. It is in the teens outside, and I just stepped out on my front porch to throw some salt down on my landing and couldn't stay out there very long because it was so cold. So instead, I'm sitting in here in my studio sipping my hot apple cider. Excited to talk to you guys. I want to read this comment. It's a fairly lengthy one, but I want to go ahead and read it and respond. Here we go. John, one term I've yet to hear you use is mystic. More religion we don't need. But wouldn't you say that places for people to come together and share their experiences with the mystical or have mystical experiences are needed, kind of like we have libraries now for people to come and pursue knowledge? The real reason Buddha had to sit under the tree is there was no building dedicated to his mystical pursuits for him to go and sit in. Maybe it's time for the world to begin providing the infrastructure needed to support mysticism. These places could serve as a place for more experience to guide the less experienced. I don't think Casey's ARA is a religion, but they provide infrastructure for people to come and present and meet and gather and meet each other and store and buy supplies for various pursuits. But not everyone lives in Virginia Beach. I can only imagine how different the world would be if there are more places like the ARE everywhere. I'm aware of how biblically centric Casey was. It would need to be a little bit more universal and less tied to any religion. I wouldn't even put the label of church on it like the Unification Church does, but it would be places where families could come and find helpful instruction for their children as mom and dad and even grandparents. I'm so grateful that you wrote this comment. It gives me an opportunity to talk about a topic that I actually adore talking about. The concept of get rid of all religions. And what you're actually describing here is creating a new one. Creating a place where people can come and learn, and explore. The interesting thing about it is what are they exploring? They're exploring the beliefs of others. They're exploring the ideas of others. I don't use the word mystic or mystical for several reasons. The main reason I don't use the word mystic or mystical or mysticalism is because the experiences that I've had, out of body, astral travel, manifestation, all those things are not mystical. They're our very nature. And when you add the label of mystical or mysticism around it, you are now creating a delineation. You also say in here, for people who have more knowledge to share, more knowledge of what? In other words, you're creating a hierarchy within the Church of Mysticism. That whole concept right there is interesting. The ARE is a really good example, actually, because ARE, Edgar Casey came out of the Theosophical Society stuff, and everyone talks about how amazing he was, and he had some really good things. But like everything else, you've got to pick and choose. You've got to go through and find the things that are actually not mixed into not only religion, but also the mysticism of the Theosophical Society. That's mixed into Edgar Casey stuff too. What's really interesting with the ARE especially is the ARE is getting further and further away from the mysticism. Recently, they used to have a thing where they would certify psychics, where people would come in and certify as an ARE psychic. And they're slowly paring all that away. They're getting rid of all that. They used to bring people in and test them and score them and see, with how close their information was and do all that. I had friends who were certified ARE psychics, but the ARE has decided to disband that whole program because, just like every other religious thought or organization like that, it's all dependent upon the mind of man and what they think in the moment. Mysticism itself is an interesting word, or mystic in itself is an interesting word. It's just like you don't hear me use the word witch. Witch is just witch or mystic is like saying a Buddhist, a Christian, a Hindu. They're just pathways away from yourself. And the second you start adding, creating an organization of people, you've now got people coming together, and they're all going to start pushing their own agenda or their own experiences as the only way. I think the concept of creating a series of places like that is literally just creating another potential religion. And in fact, I think it would lead directly into a religion. It would just like the Theosophical Society, right, which degraded and eventually became the New Age movement. And so when you look at this, what we need to do is stop thinking about needing structures around certain beliefs, and we need to start making this not taboo and making our world a community. The concept of having places to go, you have places to go. That's how you found me. That's how you found other people. Now, the key really is people like me or the people like anybody else you find on the internet, are they telling you theirs is the only way, or are they saying that your spirituality is your personal journey? And the second I say it's my way, people have asked me to start my own sort of community where I can go out and set up love centers and all this stuff. It's just creating another cult. It's creating another religion. In my mind, and mystic and mysticism. The whole word mystic or mysticism, it talks about this big esoteric thing that's way out there outside of the realm of most people's possibilities. And in reality, the second you release your fear, you start having the experiences. That's been my personal experience. Now, I'm not telling you to believe me in any way, shape, or form. But if I were to suddenly say, I'm creating the Live Loving Centers, and here at the Live Loving Centers, this is what I teach, and, people are going to start to follow it. That's why not too long ago you saw me do a video called Don't Follow Me. Because I think that the second you start following a religion or a school of thought or mysticism or any other form, you're creating the seeds of a new religion. You're creating something unique and different. You look through the course of time, through the course of history, just in the Abrahamic religions, Judaism starts, and you read the Old Testament or the Torah, and you find all this hateful, harmful stuff, and a vengeful and a jealous God, and all this stuff. Then you get into the New Testament, and they start talking about God being love, but it still has a lot of that hate and anger and judgment because they're now blended together. Then you get into Islam, and it actually gets the actual religion itself gets more loving because it's now getting further away from the Abrahamic anger, right? But it still had its own anger and man-made constructs of fear in the time. And then after Islam, then the next one that claims to be the next in line is the Baha'i faith. The Baha'i faith, you go through there. There's things in there that are not as beautiful or loving, but it's getting less fearful, less angry. And what's happening is the religions are dying. The religions are going away. And we don't need more religions. We don't need more structures of what people, come here to learn what I've learned because I've learned this, and I want to come back to what you said in here. Like at the bottom of this page, you say places where whole families could come and find helpful instruction for their children. The word instruction, what instruction? What are you hoping they're being instructed in? Because once you start to think about the lines of instruction, you're now creating a method, a modality. You're not creating the dogmas of religion. You also mentioned that Buddha sat underneath of a tree dedicated to his mystical pursuits for him to go and sit in. I'd like to ask you how you know that that's what Buddha was doing as opposed to him just sitting under a tree, having experiences, releasing everything. He wasn't, pursuing the mystical pursuits. That's your delineation. And now that delineation itself can become the religion. So that's this whole comment is the seeds of a new religion. And I don't use the word mystic or mysticism because I don't think it's mystical. I think it's our very nature. I think it's our oneness with God. And I think when we release our fear-based connection to this physical world and needing things from the ARE store, there's nothing in this physical world that I believe we need. I don't believe I believe the physical world itself is just a product of our belief. It's a reflection of our beliefs. And so there is nothing in this physical world we need. And even the things that people say, well, you need air, you need food, you need shelter. All of those are based on the concepts of survival. Why are we based on survival? Because we believe we can die. Though that I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, life is eternal. Physical world is just experience. And the concept of needing something in the physical to reach the concept of needing something in the physical to reach some mystical enlightenment is just setting up addictions. It's I need that thing too, blank. And so I disagree with the seed that is being sown here. The seed of we need to find a place where we can all come together and study our things, and people who are more advanced can share with the less advanced. I mean, that in itself sets up a hierarchy within the church, right? So for me, this whole concept of why I'm not using the word mystic, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe that it has any real value for me. It also, in my mind, is just another pathway away from yourself, And this whole idea of needing places and needing things in the physical, to me, makes no sense whatsoever. So that's my thought on mysticism and mystical things. I think that it's all far simpler. In my regression, it literally said it's so simple we have a hard time comprehending it. So if it's that simple, we don't need anything else. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.